Hello, everyone. So I am Kerry Bryant, and I am Head of Talent and Learning at ALD. And 2 years ago, I knew absolutely nothing about knowledge management. Nothing. But what I did have was a passion to make things better, not just for our people, but for our customers. So the program we're about to talk you through today, my role was to bring in a knowledge management team internally into the organization, but also to partner with a knowledge management supplier. I work closely with my colleague.
Morning everyone, I'm Paul Griffin, so I'm Head of Strategy and Transformation within Customer Service. For the past 20 years, I've just spent a lot of time in retail, more recently in financial services, and I just get real passion from making things simple for customers and for our people. So when Kerry talked to me about knowledge management, it was just an obvious choice that I wanted to partner up and do some work with her on it.
So the story we're going to take you through today is, quite frankly, very simple. And that's not to undermine the level of expertise and effort that went into this, but this was to build some strong foundations in knowledge management for us as a business. We just knew that we had to start, and we believe we've now got the foundations to start looking at this really cool stuff that you've heard some more about already this morning. When you first look at knowledge management, it can look a little bit overwhelming, and from someone that had no background in it, you think, where do I start? What do we buy? What do we do? So if you're new to knowledge management, then this is the story for you.
Before we go into our journey, let's just tell you a bit about who we are. So we are the leading global sustainable mobility player. We are owned by French bank Société Générale, and we recently acquired LeasePlan in the global acquisition, so that's one of our biggest competitors. So we are ALD LeasePlan. We're number one in 29 markets, and we've got the biggest EV fleet on the planet, so over 400,000 vehicles. We provide mobility solutions for direct consumers, so people like you and I, so it could be just a one-on-one relationship, and we provide it for corporate customers, so some of you may have vehicles with us already. We also partner with some of the key brands that you'll be familiar with, so people like Ford, Kia, Tesla, Polestar, so we're a key partner for them. I guess to put it really simply, you could just say that we help you get from A to B. So if you talk to you a bit about the problems that we had within the business, and this goes back about 2 years ago, so it's very similar around the COVID time that really heightened this, as you heard about a moment ago. What I've described as a business that sounds really simple, and actually when I joined it, I thought, it's just a vehicle, it's just paying a monthly bill, how hard can it be? But when you think about all of the complexities of different brands, different products, different services, different customer types, it all gets a little bit trickier. And if you add into that then, that even some of those customers have slightly different agreements as well. So for example, some customers can get their tyres changed at 2.2 millimetres, and some might be 2 millimetres. You have to know every single bit about those contracts and those customers. That's really quite hard for people. If you add into that then that nothing was written down, it's probably a moment that will resonate with quite a few of you. I distinctly remember walking around the office in Bristol and just seeing Post-it notes everywhere. And I sent Kerry a photo of these Post-it notes saying, we seriously got to sort this knowledge out because we just can't run the business like this. So nothing was written down, and we expected our people to remember everything. Working for us was just like a memory test, really. It also made, because the job was so hard for people, we were seeing people leave. So as you heard about earlier, the attrition it still is, it's really true. But the challenge for us was that when people left, the knowledge that they had only in their head left with them as well. So again, we needed to get this knowledge written down so that we wouldn't have that problem any further. And then from a customer point of view, we didn't have any self-serve. So again, if you imagine this through COVID, there was no way for customers to do anything really other than contact us. So if you needed the most basic information, call us. If you needed to do something, call us. If you needed to do anything, just call us. That's all you could do. We didn't even have the most basic information in front of our customers so they could just search it, find it, get information, and carry on their day. So we knew our challenges, we knew what we needed to do, and we formed a team. So we brought together, Kerry and the L&D team, myself in customer service, some teams from marketing, technology. We gathered a load of people together that were really passionate about solving this. And then we started to do that agonizing around, right, what are we going to call this? What are we going to do? We need a moment, we need something to anchor to say, this is our statement, this is our mantra, this is our way of being. And we couldn't quite get there, and then overnight something happened.
So something really special happened, and we were left a Trustpilot review by one of our customers, Steve. ALD makes things simple when life gets complicated. We, quite frankly, couldn't have written it better ourselves if we'd have tried, and we adopted this as the guiding principle for our program. So everyone, we were all customers ourselves, and it was something that resonated with us that we were all able to easily get behind. So we had a focus, and we just needed our program aims. So the first one was to put customers in control. As Paul's already spoken about, there wasn't much a customer could do for themselves. So we wanted to give them some opportunity to access information at the point that they need it, when they want it. We wanted to make things simple, and that's not just for our advisors, our customers, but we wanted to make sure that this program was simple too. And finally, we wanted to provide expert support. So again, whether it's a customer accessing information or whether it's you're speaking to one of our advisors, we wanted to make sure that they were knowledgeable in the know-how and able to answer the question. So now we had the guiding principle and we had the 3 program aims. We just needed that all-important cash. So Paul and I and some members of the program team actually pitched this to our board of directors. And we spoke about some of the key benefits that investing in knowledge management would give us. So the first one we spoke about was knowledge governance. We are a regulated company by the Financial Conduct Authority. I'm sure a number of you are too. And having some rigor and routine around the knowledge, the maintenance, how we were keeping it up to date was incredibly important for us. Also, we wanted to become more agile as an organization. And I'm sure some of you have felt this through COVID. Our ability to move staff around was a little bit tricky. We probably could have made it a lot easier through leveraging knowledge management. We wanted to induct our employees quicker and faster, therefore reducing their time to competency. What was really important to us as well was that single source of knowledge. We wanted to be able to update and maintain knowledge once, and just once, and be able to leverage it in multiple locations. And I guess the final one for us that got us the win was that we could reduce errors and therefore operational losses as a business. So when you hear all of those things, they're all incredibly hard to say no to. So we didn't have to try very hard for the investment. We did have a debate at the time, though, around build or buy. And I'm sure some of you have thought that through as well. We do have the capabilities in our organization to actually build a knowledge base. But what we didn't have in-house is the experience in knowledge management. So Paul and I were very passionate about finding a partner that had that could give us, a big jump into knowledge management know-how and learn from everyone else's mistakes before we did them.
Okay, so that's where the fun starts. So you've got your problem statement, you understand what you're trying to do, you've got the money. It wasn't quite as easy as Kerry makes out, but we got the money. And then we wanted to find, and a key word here is partner, and you heard that a moment ago in the Trig presentation as well, is you actually start it with trying to find a supplier for this thing. You do not need a supplier, you need a partner. That's what's really important here. And what I mean by that is you need a partner that understands you. So they understand you personally, they understand your business, they understand your people, and they understand your customers. And we went through the process as you do, and we met quite a few. And eGain were the ones that actually just spent the time with us personally and connected with us. They spent the time, they came to our office in Bristol, they spent time with our people, they spent time listening to conversations, seeing what happened, they just got to know us. And that was the winning part for us. Of course, it was great, they had all the tech and the stuff that we needed as well, but the bit that really sunk it for us was the fact that they just really wanted to partner with us. It felt like a joint problem, and it felt like they wanted to be on this journey with us. So that was so, so important to us. Once we decided on eGain, then we started to talk about, well, what are the things we want to achieve, and how do we make this sound really simple, and how do we sort of anchor to some key points within this? And once we got the knowledge documented, what we wanted to do was put it into customers' hands. So at the point when the customer needs it, so on the go at any point, so be that through web, be that through app, we needed customers to be able to do it on their terms, on their time. For our advisors, we wanted it to be at the point that they needed it. So this was a point of where you can interrupt the flow for the advisor. So they're trying to do something, and it pops up and says, here's the knowledge article. So we wanted it at the fingertips of the advisors. So any query they got from a customer, they had the knowledge right there in front of them to answer. And it's really important here that this is just the same knowledge. So if it's a customer using the information, or if it's an advisor, it's the same knowledge that they're using. It's being pulled from the same source. As I described earlier, because the business is quite complex, being able to get the right knowledge was a bit that we couldn't quite get our hands around of, well, how are you going to make sure if it's a Ford on this contract and this term, and how are you going to present the right knowledge back? And that's one that eGain really helped us with through tagging of the knowledge. Of course, you need to make sure you're asking the right things. It needs to know that. But it was made so simple. It was really important to us that advisors therefore get confidence in that the information that they're getting back is right. And once they get that, they'll trust it and they'll use it more and more. We needed it to help us scale. So we're a business that's growing. So we needed to know that this wasn't just for today, it was for tomorrow as well. So as we plug in new partners, as we plug in new suppliers, we can then add that knowledge into the knowledge base as well. And it was really simple to do, and we could do it quite quickly. So any of the partnerships that came along, we could just gather up any new knowledge that was there, drop that in, and away we go. And we needed it to be simple for our people. So we didn't want a training manual. We didn't want to say, here's your new system, you need to go on a training course to understand it, here's the book, keep checking that. We just wanted it to be plug and play so our advisors could go straight in, use it, really simple to use, therefore why wouldn't you use it? And then finally, it had to support our future. So again, not today, for tomorrow. This was not just a thing that we were saying, we're going to solve today's problem. As you've already heard, and we'll hear loads more about today around AI, we needed to know we were partnering with a company that were thinking ahead as well. So that was really, really important to us.
So what did we buy? So as you'll know, and as you would have seen downstairs, there are so many products and services that you can buy for knowledge management. And one of the mottos we adopted as a program was pace over perfection. If we were there trying to strive for that absolute perfect knowledge management solution, I think it would have taken us a very long time. So we kept things simple, and we purchased knowledge sessions, which allows our customers to access knowledge through our external help hub. And we purchased knowledge and AI, which is the licensing functionality that we give to our advisors to be able to access knowledge. And we also had access to the analytics. So if I just start off with our internal colleagues first, how did we do it? So we found an area of the business with the highest customer demand, and that was our retail care team. We took a data-driven approach, and we looked at the CRM case titles, the reasons why customers mainly contact us. And we actually found that if we collected knowledge and information around 4 key themes, we would have actually collected just over 70% of the reasons why a customer contacts our business. So we went after that knowledge in the form of knowledge articles, process guides, and guided help, which is eGain's functionality in a step-by-step process for your advisors. We also had a conversation at this point around how far, to what extent do you collect the knowledge? Do you go end-to-end with the knowledge, including the back-office process, or do you just collect that frontline query? And actually, we decided to do the frontline knowledge and what we called handoff processes. So if the query was going to be handed off to a back-office team, we enabled the advisor to have access to the information to manage the customer's expectation. So we used that information to help increase our opportunity of first contact resolution. So we collected something like just over 60% of handoff information at the same time. I think the biggest challenge in this for us was the sign-off process. So as Paul's kind of described, we had knowledge in lots of different places, in different formats, pieces of paper, Excel, Word documents, PowerPoints, people's heads. And we could have had 4 or 5 different ways of doing a process. And none of them necessarily wrong, but obviously creating us some inefficiency. So we had to create process owners and subject matter experts for this knowledge as a business. And we then created a couple of layers of a sign-off process to make sure that what was going in this knowledge base was correct and credible, because we knew that that would give us a big problem of engagement of our people if it wasn't. We launched this in the form of a model office. So we had around about 10 advisors or so, and we put them in a safe space to test and learn with the knowledge management base. We actually ran a competition to name it with over 200 entries of names in our organization. We settled on Guru. So we changed people's productivity for that period of time they were in the model office. We gave them space to learn, to review the knowledge base, to give us feedback, to let us know what they thought of the look and feel, what information it needed to have in it. This is how we engaged our people. We essentially said, break the knowledge management system. And here's an example of what our internal knowledge management system looks like. Something else we did was to launch it in a way never seen before and may never be seen again. I've never dressed up as an owl before, and if you wonder why owl, then the word owl features in the word knowledge. So I went round our office with the team and a selfie frame, engaging our whole business in the launch of our knowledge management team. We had an ice cream van, we had senior leaders involved, we had incentives, competitions, we hid owls in the knowledge management base itself, so people had to go on a bit of a treasure hunt and tell us where they all were for some prizes. So I think a success factor for us is be a little bit disruptive and engage your whole organization, whether they are actually benefiting from the knowledge base or not. If I just move on now to our external customers, so if you access our website for information, you will visit our Help Hub, and this is an example of our eGain-driven Help Hub. Through the program, we also launched an app for customers as well, and the same knowledge is available in the app. So again, back to one of our reasons for wanting to do this, is we were leveraging a single source of knowledge in multiple places. So through the tagging, we were able to show what we wanted customers to see versus what we wanted our advisors to see. We have over 100 articles now on our Help Hub, and the knowledge team are regularly out there looking at competitors, and not just in our industry, but people that are just really good at doing knowledge management for their customers. So we've got our eyes out there to make sure that this is up there with the industry leaders. I think the biggest thing that this brought us was actually customer analytics, an insight that we hadn't had before. So we weren't just monitoring successful searches, so when customers did land in content, we were most interested in those unsuccessful searches. What were customers looking for that we didn't have the knowledge available to answer? What we also learned from it as well is that customers call stuff really different things to what we do inside the company, and I'm sure you've all seen that too. So actually, it gave us an ability to update our tagging, our synonyms, to make sure that next time, if a customer searched for that thing, they would end up in knowledge content. So now you've kind of heard what we've bought, how we implemented it. I'm sure you're interested in, so what's the benefits?
Okay, so when we said earlier we got the investment, there's always that question, isn't there, that says, well, what's the return going to be? And this is really tricky. For anyone that's done anything like this before, be it customer stuff, be it employee, it's just so hard to quantify benefits for this. We didn't quite get away with that as a statement, and we did have to go away and say, well, we think it's going to affect the following things in the following way. The bit that we would really sort of impress on you is just don't worry about it too much. So don't worry too much, because what you know is you're doing the right thing. So you know you're doing the right thing for your people, you know you're doing the right thing for your business, and you know you're doing the right thing for your customers. So whilst you do need some metrics there, you still do know that this is the right thing to do and this is going to set you up for the future. Would also say as well, don't try and argue about which bits did what. So this was one that we sort of caught ourselves on quite early as well of, well, that's come down or that metric's changed. Was it the app that did that? Was it Help Hub that did that? Was it something else? It doesn't matter as long as it's all going positively. So that's one that would really, really encourage you as well. So the 4 stats we decided on are on the screen now. And in the last 2-year journey this has been, so this is where we stand today, about 20% of the demand that comes into our business is now contained within Help Hub. So Help Hub that Kerry showed you a moment ago, that's 1 in 5 contacts that's actually been answered by the content that's already in there. We saw our first contact resolution, so where customers didn't need to contact us again, move from late 60%, early 70% to 80%. The one that we're most proud of is our Trustpilot rating. So prior to doing knowledge management, we were at 1.7, and today we stand at 4.6, and excellent, which is industry leading. And Google's getting there. Google's about 3.8 now, so it's on the right path, but we'll get there very soon. But that's one that we're particularly proud of, to say that we're industry leading on Trustpilot. And then because you've got customers answering their queries themselves in the Help Hub, you're answering things right first time. What we saw was about 10% less demand coming into the business. And this is the point where I say, don't worry too much if it was knowledge or it wasn't knowledge. It's a positive result. So overall, we were really pleased with the results that we saw. But what was more important to us was what our people thought. Because this is another really tough one. If you've got people that have been in the business for a long time, but know your business really well, that have got it in their head, and if I'm honest, they probably think they know better than the system, because how can that system tell me something that I know? And this was really hard to get through. And it really wasn't quick. And for some people, they're just on board straight away, so your new starters of this is just the way I do it. But for people that have been around for a number of years, it's really quite tricky, to be honest. But when we started to receive statements like you can see on the screen, that's when we knew that we'd broken through here. And that's when we knew that people were saying, where's this been all our lives? It's just easy. I don't have to put my hand up for a supervisor to come and ask a question. So that was a moment that we were really proud of that meant that we'd done something really good. Okay, so we said at the beginning we'd give you some advice and kind of share. And as Kerry said right at the beginning, this is 2 years for us. So we've got a long, long, long way to go on this, but we've already learnt lots as we've gone on the way. Our first bit of advice is collaborate with people that are really passionate about the topic as well. So find people in your business that want to solve the problem. So you need to identify the right teams, but find people that want to take that challenge head on with you, and they will absolutely run at it with you.
So also adopt clear goals and ways of working. So we had a program team built up from people all around the business, but we were actually doing this on the side of our day jobs. And I'm sure a lot of you are also being asked to do the same. So what was really, really important to us was to maintain a rhythm and routine as a program team. So we met weekly. We knew when our status reports had to be in. We knew how to escalate and unblock challenges. So I think a bit of advice from us to you would be to make sure that you've got that real energy and momentum kept in it, because again, it can be really disheartening when you think, I've missed a deadline, we can't get this over the line, but these meetings and the escalation process really helped us.
As I said earlier, partner with someone that just understands your problem, they care, they want to get to know you, and they want to solve this together. So it's partner with someone that really does want to help solve things for you.
Be disruptive. If any of you would like to borrow an owl costume, I do have one spare. Try and do it a little bit differently. Try and show your people something that they've not seen before. Make some noise. This stuff is really cool, and whether it's going to impact them at work today or tomorrow, it's going to impact us in our lives. You've seen the ability of ChatGPT and what it's capable of. So be a little bit disruptive and noisy.
Adopt pace over perfection. So this is really easy to say and sometimes quite hard to do, because you're always trying to build the perfect thing before you release it. That's not to say don't release things that don't work, but it's just iterative change. So make small improvements often, because otherwise if you just keep on waiting until you've built the whole thing, you just won't get started nor finished.
And program sponsorship. So this for us, again, was really critical in getting this delivered. So we had the Director of Customer Service as our sponsor, so having somebody in the board who was able to unlock any challenges, push this forward for us. And when it did get a little bit difficult, to keep up the energy and momentum for us as a program team. So do make sure you have that sponsorship behind you. Okay,
and finally, as we said at the beginning, really passionate about customers and people. So put customers and your colleagues at the heart of this. So keep thinking back to what this is doing for them, what it's doing for your people, what it's doing for your customers. If you underpin it with that, you won't go far wrong.
So we did say that this program was pretty simple, and it is. It's not rocket science. We think you can all do and adapt this if you're new to knowledge management. We're really pleased to say that earlier this year, we won bronze at the National Contact Centre Awards in the Change and Innovation category of the year. So we must be doing something right to have that industry recognition of our hard work on knowledge management.
And then finally from us is what's next. So as I said earlier, we acquired LeasePlan back in May, earlier this year. And LeasePlan themselves are on a knowledge management journey. And LeasePlan also had partnered with eGain. And that was a true coincidence, but a really welcomed one. So we're both going through the same journey on knowledge. So first of all, it's join up and compare, contrast. But when you think about what we're about to embark on with acquiring biggest competitor and bringing the two businesses together, the mantra of the acquisition is best of both. And knowledge is going to help us there because we understand what we do today. We can, as I say, compare and contrast it, and we can work out a path forward. So knowledge is really going to help us with this joining of the two companies and creating that best of both. And we haven't put it on the slide, but of course AI. We're already starting our journey into that. Talking to eGain on that, and it's just really trying to understand it, to be honest. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting time ahead, I think. I think that's us.
One more.
One more.